Hello and welcome to the Codec Moments Podcast with me, your host, Matt Holt. That's at Codec Moments on Twitter. In a change to our schedule programming, we won't be bringing you the birthday episode this week that we promised. The birthday party was a lesson in overindulgence and debauchery that we learnt the hard way and have been recovering from it for the last few days. It was a bit like The Hangover, but without the smug twist at the end. Our promise to give you a cheap and cheerful clip show hasn't been forgotten though, and that'll be on its way in about 7 days' time. For now, we've got something that might just be a little bit better. Greg Chun, who plays Takayuki Yagami in the PS4 exclusive Judgment, recently answered a few questions for our pet Glaswegian, Stuart Cullen, and the text appeared in the Scottish Sun. But we've got the full audio. Greg has been a game and anime voiceover artist for over 18 years, and you'll probably have heard him in things like Nier Automata, Black Ops 4, and World War Z over the last couple of years. Outside games, there's an impressive set of appearances in anime, but things also including American Dad, Thor the Dark World, and The Nutjob 2. Here's Greg to talk about Judgment and what comes with this type of role, and there are a few minor spoilers to watch out for, so skip to the end when he starts to mention them if you don't want to hear them.
Hey everyone, this is Greg Chun. It is Judgment Day, woo! And I've got a lovely set of questions here from a very lovely journalist in the UK. And we're going to talk about it. So, first question, how did you find out about the game? How did you get the role? Well, these were just auditions that went through my agent, my amazing, amazing agent, AVO Talent. And we actually didn't know what the game was at first. We were just sent the auditions, and they're probably about 10 characters that I auditioned for. I auditioned for Genda and for Hoshino and for everybody, Shintani, everybody. And how did I get the role? Well, I auditioned, and the gods and the good nature of everybody involved, they chose me. So there you go. Did I always aim to be Takayuki, or did I try out for other roles in the game? Yeah, I tried out for, like I said, about 10 characters, everybody. And it's funny that when you listen to what I did for the other characters, they don't sound the slightest bit like the people who ended up being cast. So I think Yagami, I was somehow meant to be him. But I will say that when I was looking at the auditions, I did very much, I was very, very drawn to Yagami's copy. And I have to admit that from the very beginning, that's the role I really, really wanted. When it comes to the script, how much of it is planned and how much of it is ad-libbed? Well, most of it is planned. Scott and Dan and the Genius localization team, they put together a great script, and then we just sort of work in the studio. Scott, Dan, and I, and Keith Aram, our brilliant director producer, and we if a line isn't working for some reason, or there's sort of a sync issue with the lip flaps, then we will massage certain things in the studio. But for the most part, it's all laid out for us and very well planned out. How much of an impact does having the original Japanese version of the game help or hinder you? Or do you come to the role totally fresh and it's a new take in a way? Well, having the Japanese reference actually helps quite a lot, because we definitely want to stay in the original spirit of the game. And the original performance. And so having the Japanese preview that I then follow with my English version is very, very helpful. Now, that being said, one does need to be careful about not necessarily taking too many technical elements from the Japanese read, such as pacing, pitch, all that kind of stuff. It really is emotional content that you're looking for. Once you're able to distill that from the preview of the Japanese line, then you really need to put it through your own character and what's in your body to have it come out and be consistent with your performance throughout the game. But having the reference definitely helps us in terms of setting tone, urgency, that kind of stuff. Next, how much of yourself do you see in Takayuki, and what do you feel you bring to him? Well, there's quite a lot. I mean, I haven't been through quite the ringer as he has, but I think we all have our own histories, and we all have triumphs and defeats and pain and challenges that we've overcome. And I feel that, I was able to identify with the situation he was in, because oftentimes things don't go your way, and you need to figure out a way to adapt and pivot and make and continue along your way in life. And so I feel like what I was able to bring to him was my own experience, and whereas it may not have been exactly what he had gone through, there are definitely common themes uh, when you're talking about any sort of adversity that you go through as a person that I was able to channel to, I think, tap into the emotions that were necessary to portray the experience that Yagami was having. What is your favorite line or quote from the game, and why is it your favorite? There are two, really, and I don't even know if we should put this out there because they're kind of spoilers. Well, the second one certainly is. The first one is a line between Kaito and I, and this is representative of how much I just love the dynamic between me and Crispin. I really, really enjoy the way it came out, and Crispin obviously is an amazing, amazing actor, and it's just it was such a blessing to be able to share the stage with him and have him along the way with me pretty much the entire game. There's a line that I say to him where I can't remember exactly the situation, but it's sometime when Kaito is being Kaito as usual and kind of implying to one of the thugs or one of the other characters that, like, that if you were, do you really want to challenge us and fight us? And I think I'm recognizing that situation that we're clearly outmatched. And so I sort of flip some sort of sarcastic comment to him along the lines of, I think he's going to be okay. Like, I think they can take us. I don't know why that line sticks out to me so much. I think it was just a very human moment, and it was I think the way it came out very much came from me, and I was just very happy that Keith and Dan and Scott liked it. So that's why that line is special to me. And of course, the very last line of the game that Yagami says is something along the lines of, "Now let's go get that lady's cat," or "Now let's go find that lady's cat." And it's just after all of the heaviness that's gone on in this game, to end on such a humorous moment of levity, I really appreciated. How long would you say the role took from begin to end? And how long did it take you to learn the script? Well, believe it or not, in voiceover, we don't have to memorize scripts. So luckily, all of my lines were laid out in front of me, and we would just sort of plug through the script until it was done. I think we were recording for probably 6 weeks to 2 months. And this wasn't every day. We would maybe do 2-3 sessions a week, each one 4 hours long. So that's about how long it took. Had just shy of 6,000 lines to record, so it was a good chunk. With the game being set in the Yakuza universe, do you have any past history with the series? I actually don't. I've seen it a lot, and I've heard about it, and it was one of those things that I always meant to get to, but my life's gotten very busy, and I barely have any time to game anymore. So I've got a few of them sitting on the shelf that I'm hoping to dive into at some point when things lighten up, but not as of yet. If you're new to the series, do you feel any sort of expectation from the fans for judgment? Well, yes, of course. I mean, anytime you've got an IP that has a loyal following and you're going to be doing something that sort of piggybacks off of that, yeah, there's a lot of pressure and expectation. But like I've said before, I felt the best thing to do was not to think about that and don't stress about it, because that's not going to help my performance at all. If anything, it could get in the way. And so I think one of the things I was very insistent on going to these sessions was to really try and clear my head of all of that stuff. And I think that goes for any performance that you do. There's no reason to have any outside factors in your head while you're doing your performance, because all it can do is detract. So as voice actors, that's something that I feel like we attempt to do on every role that we take on. But in this one, it was especially important because of all of the preconceived notions all around this game. All the preconceived notions that already existed around this game. Let's see. And how have fans reacted to you as Takayuki, as well as judgment overall? Well, I am pleased to say that for the most part, I feel like the response is pretty glowing, and nothing can make me happier. That's the whole reason we do this job, it's for the fans. It's for the fans to enjoy it, have a good time, have a good experience. As a gamer myself, I know the importance of being able to feel connected to the characters, and the voice acting is a big part of that. So I'm just so thankful that people seem to be enjoying it. And people have said that they feel like I fit Yagami, and that's all you can really ask for. That's your job has been done, if that's the case. Do you feel that this is the start of a longer journey for you and Takayuki within the Yakuza universe? Well, I hope so. I really don't know. I mean, that's in the hands of the powers that be. But this is a guy that I would love to play until I retire from this business. So I truly have a love for him and this game and this franchise. It's really I really can't say enough about that. Having done both voice acting and live action acting in your career, which do you prefer and why? Well, I've done a lot more voice acting than I've done live action, and I have to say I do very much enjoy them both. I think ultimately, if I could only do one, it would certainly be voice acting. But it's nice to mix it up every now and then. It's nice to be in front of the camera and to use kind of different dramatic muscles to work out during the day. But voice acting is really my true love, and I think it's always going to stay that way. And of all the voice acting roles you have had through hundreds of games, which stand out as your favorite and why? Well, obviously, Judgment is number one. I would have to say number two is probably the Somnium Files, which is going to be released next month. I feel like there's a correlation between how big the role is and how much it means to me. And I think it makes sense because you simply live with the character longer. And you get to take the character through a more detailed arc. And I think that's always really rewarding as an actor. And that probably explains why the roles that are more substantial are the ones that I identify more with. I also very much enjoy doing Adam in Nier Automata. It's fun to be a villain every now and again. And as far as anime, there's a show called Megalobox where I played a character named Aragaki, and there was some real... he went through some real stuff, and that was a great challenge and ultimately very gratifying. Other than that, I think that's about it. Yeah. Well, listen, I think that's all the questions here. I want to thank you so much for having the interest to interview me. It's really been a pleasure. I would have liked to have done this face-to-face, but being able to talk to you in my own voice to answer these questions is certainly a pleasure too. Thank you so much, and thanks for supporting the game, and have a great day. Bye.
Well, I hope you found that as interesting as I did, and it's good to hear directly from the actor too and not just reading it in text. Let us know your thoughts by reaching out to us on Twitter, Facebook, or through our Discord server. And that's it for this short filler podcast. The full team will be back next week with a much longer filler podcast. So until then, bye!